Well, good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. Hope you had a fantastic weekend trying to get stress out of your life. Well, me and Michelle went away on a girls' weekend getaway, and it was absolutely fantastic. A little spa time, a little shopping, girlfriend time, which I say I am very, very big on. Guys need to do something similar, but what do you guys do to relieve stress and have that camaraderie? We're going to talk with Dr. Sean Neary with Mid-America Spine and Rehab about eliminating stress and just how bad it can be for your body. You know, you might think, oh, I got a stress headache, I'm carrying it in my shoulders, I got a backache, maybe that's stress related, I got a migraine. But how deep does stress go when it affects your organs? It's one of the top killers in our country. We got to eliminate it. So we're going to talk more about that coming up in just a bit. We have a weather watcher day, so we're going to talk about that. We've got news you can use as well as sports news, all of that for you in the next hour. Let's kick things off with our What the Weather segment.
Alrighty, welcome back into this new more weather forecast video. Has been looking significant for a couple of days. So
good morning to you.
Good morning, Monica.
Finally.
Nice to be here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's say hello and hope you had a great weekend to our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I know this past weekend was beautiful, at least yesterday, and we're talking about weather getting warmer. It's also the fact that a lot of people are home from school now, so pool days. Are we going to be able to get into the pool today, or do we have a day that we're going to have to watch for winds and hail and things like that?
Yeah, we're going to have to watch for a couple of isolated storms tonight, but overall, there's going to be some time definitely to get outside, do outdoor activities, including getting in the pool. 72 degrees here in the morning, mostly cloudy skies. Then as we go into the afternoon, around 88 degrees for a high, getting up close to 90, mostly sunny skies. Then as we go into the evening, that's the time frame where we're going to want to watch for a couple of isolated storms. Overall, not expecting very strong storms, but could we have a couple of severe thunderstorms around the area this late afternoon into the evening, early overnight hours? That is possible, so make sure you have ways to receive warnings and be on alert for that this evening. Now, the allergies for today, all at a low, so that's very good as we're kind of transitioning out of spring into summer where allergies are a little bit less prevalent. And then going into our Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, we are under a marginal risk, which is the lowest risk out of 5, 1 out of 5 risk, which means maybe some isolated severe thunderstorms, and that's what we're expecting today with that higher risk down into southwestern Missouri. And our 7-day outlook for today, a mix of clouds and sunshine, more clouds here in the morning through midday, and then into the afternoon we'll get some more sunshine moving in. Again, high of 88, low of 69, 84 tomorrow with mostly cloudy. Isolated storms again are going to be possible tomorrow. And then look at this stretch of sunshine. No precipitation in the forecast. 84 Wednesday, 86 there on Thursday, cooling down a couple of degrees around 80 Friday and Saturday, but very nice midweek through late week and into early next week. And then lastly, the dog walking forecast. This is Leon Andrew, and it is going to be a great day to walk your dog.
All right, so a good day to walk the dog. Watch out for the pools. Again, we're not saying you can't get in it at all, but just be weather aware, as Beckett is always saying. Beckett, thank you so much. And again, love the look of the set, and thank you for all that you do for us.
You're welcome.
Again, that's aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore. You know, this particular What the Weather segment brought to you by Just Pools. I just mentioned that it would be nice to have that, wouldn't it, to get into. You always want to have a gorgeous day sitting poolside with the kids. More and more families will be going out to theirs, or maybe somebody else's in their neighborhood, or maybe you go to a community pool. This is the look, by the way, at Just Pools, one of our new sponsors. We love Madonna and Michelle and everybody, Shannon and Tom and the entire staff at Just Pools. I want to thank all of you that watched our live show with them just a few weeks ago and went in and supported them on Memorial Weekend. A lot of people stocking up on all of the chemicals that they need, or maybe looking for new lounge chairs. Maybe you needed a new umbrella. We do. We need one of those big ones to get everybody underneath the umbrella so that they're not baking in the sun. If you have thought about going and getting your own pool, don't go anywhere else. Just Pools. They are on the West Outer Road in Arnold. They are the pool and spa specialists. And there it is, 636-464-7110. We are so thrilled to have them as part of the Real Monica Adams sponsorship team. So thank you again to Just Pools. We're going to kind of stay with the weather news. So we go from what the weather to pool time. But now this is not going well. You know, we hear a lot about wildfires in California. Sometimes they encroach into the Napa Valley region. Right now, we're talking more so about 70 miles outside of Sacramento. So to give you the latest on this, firefighters did make significant progress yesterday to tame a wind-driven wildfire that scorched thousands of acres, again, 60 miles east of San Francisco. It burned down a home and forced residents to flee the area near the central California city of Tracy. Two firefighters did suffer minor to moderate burns on Saturday. They, however, were expected to make a full recovery. It presented no threat to any laboratory facilities or operations, and that moved away from the site because they were saying that it was in the grassy hills managed by the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, one of the country's key centers for nuclear weapons science and technology. The Sunday high temperature, by the way, for Tracy was expected to reach 85 degrees. No rain in the forecast. Hotter conditions are on the way, so of course that doesn't help them. We'll continue to monitor that and hope that they continue to be able to contain that. The state of Missouri is playing a very significant role in something with our current president. The Missouri Attorney General taking Joe Biden to court over college tuition payback program costing taxpayers billions of dollars. Today, Andrew Bailey led a 7-state coalition in filing the suit against the Biden administration's latest illegal student loan plan. His lawsuit targets what the federal government calls the SAVE plan, which in reality will cost Americans $475 billion and $45 billion more than its last unlawful student loan plan. Well, here's some big news. In Mexico, they are introducing the very first female president. And this is actually a first in two ways. Not only the first female president in their country, but she is also Jewish. Claudia Sheinbaum is projected to win the presidential election and become the nation's first female president in history. In a quote from her, she said, "I will become the first woman president of Mexico." She said that at a downtown hotel shortly after the electoral authorities announced the statistical samples showing that she held an irreversible lead. She said, "I don't make it alone. We've all made it with our heroines who gave us our homeland, with our mothers, our daughters, and our granddaughters." And she will be the first Jewish leader of the overwhelmingly Catholic country. Well, Americans are ditching the West Coast in favor of the East Coast. This is according to a new report from a moving and storage company, Pods. The new report published last week found that Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina were tied for the top city that Americans are moving to. On the other hand, the report found that Los Angeles and San Francisco are the two top cities that people are moving out of. I was hoping that St. Louis would be somewhere on this list. We're not. So Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina for the first spot. Florida, Houston, Texas, Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina area is fourth. North Carolina comes in fifth. Charlotte's in there, and Raleigh, by the way, is in sixth place. Phoenix, Arizona is seventh. Knoxville, Tennessee is eighth. Jacksonville, Florida is ninth. And then Asheville, North Carolina coming in 10th. Again, where is St. Louis on our list? Okay, as far as sports news is concerned, I'm so excited for the Battlehawks. You know, we talked to Darius Shepard last week from the Battlehawks, the wide receiver. They won 13-12. It was a really tight game, but this gives them home field advantage during the playoffs. So they will have a game against San Antonio on Sunday at the Dome. Tickets, by the way, are supposed to go on sale today. This is the third time the two teams will have met this season. The Cardinals with with a win also against the Phillies. Their game, 5-4 was the final. They will be playing Houston tonight, and they're playing Houston tomorrow at 7:10. And by the way, if you're a race fan, the Illinois 300 was at Worldwide Technology Raceway. A huge turnout, by the way. Austin Cindric pulled off his first win in his last 85 starts after his teammate Ryan Blaney ran out of gas with 2 laps left in Sunday's race at Gateway. And if you went, you did see a good one. So that's the news you can use, the weather, the sports, everything that you need before we get into stress. Now, we're going to show you a little bit about how Michelle and I decided to relieve stress and be a little less stressed out and a little more calm today. You know, stress keeps coming into our lives. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, thank you, because for some reason, Facebook decided to block us from going live this morning. Not sure why. We think maybe it was because I was in my car telling you about what was coming up. I don't know if that's the case. We're all speculating here, but getting a lot of people to be drawn over to our YouTube page, and I'll look and see for any comments you have there. I'm just going to say blanket across the board, good morning, and thank you for watching. And maybe we can get some comments to come in to our YouTube and to our Facebook page. I'll look on our regular Facebook page and see if you make any comments under the video. Why don't you comment there? That would be the easiest. Let's bring in Dr. Sean Neary from Mid-America Spine and Rehab to talk about stress today, what it does to our body, our minds, our spirits, our souls, and our organs, and what you need to do to eliminate stress. He's in the blue chair when we return.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.
Hey, The Real Monica Adams listeners. This is Abby Stallschmidt. You may know me as an electric violinist who has performed with various bands in the area, and I'm excited to personally invite you to my premiere at the Sheldon Concert Hall on June 5th at 8 p.m. You'll hear my new symphonic rock music as well as classic rock and pop covers, all backed by a string orchestra, full band, and multiple guest instrumentalists and vocalists throughout the night. It's truly going to be an awesome time. Head on over to metrotix.com or the Sheldon Concert Hall to get your tickets for the Dream Machine concert on June 5th at 8 p.m. I cannot wait to see you there.
Welcome back, and thank you again for tuning in to the Real Monica Adams Show. We're going to talk about stress today. Not a good thing to have in your life. Sean Neary, the doctor from Mid-America Spine and Rehab, my guest. How was your weekend?
Good morning. Oh, it was great. I went to the Battlehawks game on Saturday.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Look at you.
It was so much fun. That was the first time I've gone.
I have not been to a Battlehawks game.
It is.
Okay, so tell me this, because we talked with Darius Shepard, the wide receiver from the Battlehawks last week, and he talked about how they continue to open more and more and more seats.
Yeah.
And the highest they had was like 33,000. Did you see it packed up on the upper bowl?
The upper bowl was opened up.
Opened up, yeah.
If you don't go out there, it was $17 for
Right.
tickets. It's so cheap. So go out there. The fans are fantastic.
Did you do a little partying beforehand?
No.
No?
Not me. Of course not.
What? No tailgating?
No tailgating, but somebody explained how the fans are, and they said it's a mix between hockey and wrestling.
In
I was
like what way?
Rowdiness. And
Really?
when I got there, that's what I had in my head. I was like, yep, that
That
sums it up
is?
perfectly. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
that's
so
funny.
much fun.
So
Yes.
wherever you were sitting, did you have the hockey crowd or the wrestling crowd?
It was more the wrestling crowd.
Oh,
where we were.
really?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Well,
I highly recommend
again,
it.
we were hoping that they would win. It was a close one,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have a home field advantage for the playoffs. So super excited for that. So Jim and I are supposed to be going this weekend,
Fantastic.
getting a chance to go to the actual playoff game.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm just
we'll
happy
a
to
great
have
time.
football in town. You
I
know, after
know.
being such a big football fan and then having that ripped away from us.
I know. And St. Louis is such a sports town.
Yes.
And we just embrace everything that comes in.
Right.
It's so much fun.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? And we're talking about stress today. So that's one way that guys like to get together and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
let's go to a game. Let's go to a hockey game, baseball game, football game, whatever, which I love, that camaraderie.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Sean and I were talking about is guys getting together, and it shouldn't always be like, hey, let's go get beers. And all too often, sometimes the conversation goes to bashing women. Women, by the way, get together and bash men. I'm so not a part of any of that.
Neither am I.
So my question, we're going to show some things that Michelle and I did this past weekend in just a second, but what do you think guys should do to eliminate stress on a positive level?
On a positive level, I'm a huge fan of activity. So my good friends and I, we go play Frisbee golf. So we get outside, it's free. You're outside, fresh air, and you're doing an activity. I'm a big volleyball player also.
Yep.
So playing sports, getting out, and it's not based around beer or
Right.
alcohol.
Right.
It's an activity. So I think guys need more and more of that as opposed to, let's go to a bar.
Right.
And bash, our spouses, our girlfriends, because there's supposed to be a positivity.
Yep.
And I think it's just kind of based in negativity when you do those things.
Right, and then alcohol, unfortunately, is not just one. It becomes 2, 3 shots. Just nothing good is coming from that. And then you've got someone who shouldn't be driving home. All these things we're trying to eliminate. Look, I'm not being to where I say that I haven't been there. I've been there. I was in my 20s and thought, okay, this isn't good. And then you get older. I'm not trying to sound old either, but it's just how can we affect the younger generation earlier on? I think they're actually doing a better job of that now. Pickleball's become a huge thing.
Pickleball's a
so you're
huge
talking
one.
about activity. I think that is happening more now.
Yeah, I think trying to avoid just going to, not to name anything, but like go to Hot Shots. And there's sports on, there's beer, there's all these things going around. And you get sucked into this kind of lifestyle. This is what we're supposed to do. Because in our 20s, that's what we did.
Right.
Like we go out,
Yep.
we're going to party. But I think as we get older, we need another release.
Right.
So you mentioned like a Bible study.
I did. I was telling him off air that there's a friend of Jim's that said, what about a men's Bible study group? And I thought, oh my gosh, because that is really getting into the depths of communication. Because when you're talking, sitting at a bar, it's so loud. You're watching the game, they're having drinks, men and women both, and you're not having really an in-depth conversation, and then you go home.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, it was great to catch up. You didn't catch up.
You didn't catch up.
No.
Like, how's Jim doing? Like, I don't know. We didn't talk about it.
Exactly. We decided, oh, that
Right.
that sucked.
Right. So being based around communication, I think, is huge. So I think more guys need to do therapy.
Yeah.
Is another one, and it's just to get things off our chest where people are actually listening,
Right.
as opposed to being in a bar, a
Right.
loud bar where we're not communicating.
No.
No.
And that's one of the things. So that I'm just always trying to chip away at what do men do to be able to eliminate stress, because you guys have it. And the problem is women, we're more apt to communicate our feelings.
Right.
Where guys don't. And this is the dangerous thing. We've been talking a lot over the last year about mental health and depression and anxiety and shame, all the things that we talk about in these books that we read from at the end of the show, the 100 Days to Freedom. But women have always been more apt to say, look, let's talk this out with girlfriends or with guys, their spouses, their boyfriends. Like, let's talk. And then guys shut down.
Guys shut down.
And that's a dangerous thing.
It's very true.
Well, stress is our big story today about being one of the #1 killers in our country and what it leads to. So look at this video. This is what Michelle and I did this past weekend. We went, thanks to my wonderful husband, by the way. So I laughed and I'm like, well, you're thinking about us, but you need something like this also. So we went, he set us all up. He was so cute. He set us all up at the spa and salon. And he said, I've got you taken care of. You're going to have this incredible massage and a sugar scrub and toe pebbling, which we were like, what's I'll tell you that in a second. Toe pebbling and let's see, and then a facial massage. And then we went off and enjoyed the wineries and just talked to people we had never seen, never knew before, became friends. We hiked on the Katy Trail, right? And then just went around and visited some people that are saying that they want to have us do some mobile Monicas. We went to Wenty's, that Circle 6 Acres, and just look at the views alone. And then look, somebody got engaged.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wasn't it? We were able to witness that. What's that? Again, just enjoyed time away and really had a chance to relax. We did a little shopping. That guy, by the way, right there is going to be on the show very soon. A little Latin Mexican music. Yes. He felt like he took us to Cabo already before we went on our vacation. And then Root, if you have not been to that restaurant, is absolutely incredible. So a little girlfriend time away. She said that was Thelma and Louise. Again, laughter, in-depth conversations, just a really, really good time. So that's what we do. Women have a tendency to want to get away and do spa weekends with girls, right? We like to do shopping weekends with girls. Much needed. And then what happens is you're just so relaxed.
It's that getaway. We all need that relaxation in our lives. And we usually don't give ourselves time to do that. What do you do at the end of the day? Like, go sit on the couch and watch TV? Is that really relaxing? No. You're zoning out.
Well, especially when they're watching the news.
It's the news.
They're not zoning out. They're actually like, oh, I'm so frustrated. I'm even more stressed.
It is more stress. I read something a couple weeks ago about what not to do right before you go to bed. One, look at your finances. And do not watch the news, because it's just going to stimulate all these thoughts, and then you're going to stay awake.
And for you, you would tell us, which my husband does all the time now, unfortunately, you would tell us not to lay flat in bed and then do this, which is what he was doing, watching a race or whatever the heck he's doing. And I'm like, that's not what he wants us to do.
Not at all. You're in this flex position. You're staring at the blue light as another big thing that a lot of research and studies have come out about blue light at the end of the day, because we need the melatonin release. Blue light blocks melatonin release. So the more you stare at your phone, you're watching TV at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, you're not relaxing. Your brain
and it's keeping you up, right?
Yeah,
it's stimulated. It's just like caffeine.
Exactly.
And you're like, why didn't I sleep good last night? Well, because this is what you were doing right before bed. Well, I know a lot of doctors over the years have asked us to remove these from our bedrooms.
Yes.
That even having it near us is not good.
They say keep it in the other room.
Yeah.
And no TVs in the bedroom either.
We don't have one.
I do.
You do? I do.
I do. But it's rarely on, and I'm really good about turning it off before I fall asleep, just to make sure that room is black and dark and peaceful.
Right.
So you can sleep.
If you're just tuning in, by the way, Dr. Sean Neary from Mid-America Spine and Rehab, he's always on with us on Mondays giving us incredible tips to really get us in a more balanced place so that we're leading a healthier lifestyle. Yeah, when we moved into our house, the people who were there before, they've got an outlet up on the wall, so it looks kind of crazy when there's nothing there. And I go, oh, that's for a TV. I don't want a TV in the bedroom. And Jim's like, no, neither do I.
Good.
And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you agree with this. But then that's before he really got into technology and realized he could do something right here. I'm going to try to break that. So it's not just, we're talking about what it can do here, right? With headaches, neck aches, back aches, and you're like, oh, so when I go to a massage therapist, I always say, I carry my stress here. Isn't it funny? And then we say the same thing to you, don't we?
That is so common. People, I can press on a couple spots up and on the shoulders, and they go, oh, that's where I carry my stress.
That's what we all say. And we literally are admitting that we are carrying stress with us on a day-to-day basis, but we don't do anything to relieve it. And then when we think we've relieved it and it comes back again, and then you constantly make the comment, I carry my stress. It's not a good thing.
Right.
So we're talking about some things to try to do to relieve stress, but I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what happens when you don't eliminate stress, not just on the exterior of the body, but what's happening to those organs. It's extremely dangerous, and why we say that it's leading to being one of the top killers in our country. Stress. Let's try to eliminate. More of that when we come back.
She's a special woman and done so much for St. Louis.
Watching her work is one of the most incredible things you can see.
She just sees value in everyone.
Sometimes people just need you to sit with them and hear them. I feel heard.
The time flew by, and it was like sitting and talking to a friend.
Not only creating a better place here in St. Louis, but to inspire others. It's always great to have examples like you.
You have such a light and such a presence, and I could feel it this morning.
We knew right away when you started this, we wanted to be on your show. Thanks for having us.
I look forward to seeing how you rock and roll and shake it up.
All right, welcome back. It is the Real Monica Adams Show with Dr. Sean Neary from Mid-America Spine and Rehab. So stress, we feel it in our muscles. We have headaches. Look, that's us pulling our hair out. And we don't do things to let go of it. You got people at you at work, you've got your friends, you've got your family, you're always trying to be on top of your game. Stress, 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 stress.
Right.
But Sean, beyond what it's doing here, what's it doing to our organs?
So stress is a good thing. Like, despite what we think, our bodies need to adapt. So short spurts of stress are good for us because we can adapt. It's that fight or flight response. But it's when we have this prolonged stress is where the body starts to deteriorate, basically. So in a short-term stress, there's cortisol that gets released from the adrenal glands, which is right above the kidneys. It spikes our blood pressure, we release insulin, and we need that in the short term. But if we are going for weeks and months with this cortisol release, the body gets exhausted. So it's kind of like with a workout. So I always suggest every 6 weeks switching up our workouts because we go through this alarm phase where, this is a shock to the system. Then we start to resist, and then we get exhausted. So it's adapting before we get to the exhaustion phase of, so like especially a workout, you can see people peak at like 6 weeks.
Right.
Right? And you see the results. But then you do the same thing and nothing changes.
Right. It just stays the same.
It stays the same. You plateau. And then we drop off into that exhaustion phase, and our bodies don't know what to do with it after that.
Oh, reserves depleted. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. We're running off of adrenaline at that point.
That guy at the bottom does not look good.
He is not looking good. But that resistance guy, man, he is ready to fight. But then you get exhausted.
Yes.
And that's when we crash. And I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to. I'm so tired, I want to go to bed. But then you lay down and you can't sleep. You can't sleep. That's the exhaustion phase. Your body doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to adapt. So we just stay awake.
See, that's what's funny because you hear the word exhaustion alone and you would think you're so exhausted you should fall asleep. But it's not really. You're exhausted. The body's exhausted. The mind's exhausted. But there's so much that you're dealing with that you can't shut it off. Is that what the problem is?
It's that. And then there's the cortisol is going to stimulate some sort of adrenaline also.
Okay.
So my body's in the fight response at this point.
Right.
I don't want to sleep during, like if a bear is chasing me, I'm not worried about sleeping. I'm not worried about eating. I'm worried about getting away from the bear.
Yep.
And our lives we're just being chased by a bear constantly. So we need to get out of that. And which this goes back to your weekend away with the winery, a spa day, relax, actually relax.
Well, and the thing is when people, and there's a reason why you go on vacation, or if you're in other countries, they call it a holiday. But by the way, other countries, they don't get just a week holiday. No. They have months, right? Or months.
6 weeks, I think, is mandatory in certain countries, which
yes.
is amazing.
And why can't we learn from that here in the United States? Whenever I meet people from other countries, they go, you don't have enough time off. And I'm like, would you tell our bosses that? Right. Like, come on. But it's true. They're happier. They also, in other countries, have more functional, holistic, homeopathic medicine, right? They're not masking things. These are things we've been talking about for months on end. But what happens to each and every one of you when you go on vacation and then you come back and you say this, just like I said, you carry stress and you make that comment, you also make the comment, I'm going to try to bring the feeling of vacation back with me.
And also the phrase of, man, I need a vacation after that vacation. Because you weren't actually relaxing.
Right.
You were on the go, which is fine. It's fun, but you're not relaxing.
Well, and then it's also the aspect of flying on a plane, depending on how far away you go.
Right.
And then you're trying to get up the next morning, and then you're just running and running and running. You're lucky if you came back. Maybe you have delays at the airport, and then stress starts to come in.
I was going to say stress at the airport of going through TSA. My girlfriend made a really funny comment. She's like, I know I don't have anything in my bag, but there's always that thought. I'm like, do I have a bomb in my bag?
Do I have a bomb?
It's like, of course not. But there's the stress for some reason just pops up all the time. And it's these fleeting thoughts that we have. And like, I'm not relaxing.
Well, don't you feel bad for TSA? I mean, they have a very important role to play, but everyone hates them. And they're like, I have nothing. Why do you make me? Or they're like, why do I have to take my shoes off? Why do I have to take my belt off? And it's just like, they have a job to do, just like you have a job to do.
Yeah.
Be kinder.
Be kind.
Right?
Oh,
there it is.
Be kind and be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I go through there, I'm like, all right, I know.
You know you have to do it.
Shoes off, belts off, and go.
And the more trouble you try to make for them, the more that they are the one in control.
They're
so
gonna
they're going to
push
go,
back.
why don't you come on over here with me? We've got even more of a pat down to do for you.
Right.
So long-term effects of stress. Let's
Yes.
discuss that.
The long-term effects, going back to that exhaustion with the cortisol. When cortisol is released, it stimulates insulin release also. So our pancreas is starting to be affected. And if we're constantly releasing this insulin, blood sugar spikes, heart rate spikes, then we have coronary artery disease. We start getting hypertension, and then we all know the effects of arterial disease. Number one killer, right? Heart disease, because stress. It's all starting with stress, and our blood pressure spikes, and our body doesn't know how to respond to that.
Well, it's interesting. In medical terms, you'll look at a autopsy report and you'll say, oh, they died from a heart attack, or they died from this and this and that. But I always want to come back and go, but what caused that?
Yes.
Right? We always talk in medicine, in functional medicine, and what Dr. Neary does with Mid-America Spine and Rehab. That's why he does his consultations. It is, okay, well, let's get to what caused all of this.
Right.
Then normally a really good doctor will say, okay, do you have a lot of stress in your life? I mean, who doesn't answer, well, duh, doc, duh.
Who doesn't have stress?
Yes.
But that is the important part of the consultation is, what did you do last week? Yes. You sprained your ankle. Let's just say you sprained your ankle. But were you doing something new that you didn't train for? Is there something that happened 3 weeks ago? Or if I take an x-ray of your neck and we see degeneration, again, we've talked about this. That didn't happen yesterday.
Right.
Did you fall out of a tree when you were 10? Did you get in a car accident when you were 16? All of those events led to where we are today.
Yeah.
So yeah, somebody passed away from a heart attack, but what led to the heart attack?
Sure.
And we were talking about this with Dr. Sarah a couple weeks ago. Let's get to the cause.
Right.
Yeah, we can treat symptoms all day long, but until we find out the cause of what is causing these symptoms, we're not going to fix it.
I'm sure patients probably come back, though, to you after you say, well, do you have stress in your life? And then you're like, you have to eliminate stress. But even though we can give all these things to them, it's until you're really ready for you to start implementing them, right?
Right.
So how many times have you suggested meditation, yoga?
Breathing techniques.
Okay, breathing techniques, right? To calm.
Yes.
Do you follow up with the patients and ask them if
all
they're
the time.
implementing them?
Absolutely.
What
That's
percentage would you say are actually following that, though?
Minimal.
Like, can you give me a number?
I would say in the single digits.
Oh,
of
that's
people
horrible.
who actually, if you want to make the changes, you're going to do it. But I can make suggestions all day long.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hold your hand.
Right.
Throughout the entire day.
Yep.
You need to take care of yourself also.
Good point for him to make. We're gonna both say this. As a personal trainer, I say, if you train with me, let's say you train with me twice a week. That's 2 hours. How many more hours do you have in a week's time?
Right.
What are you doing during those hours? That, by the way, tells your story.
That is the big part of the story. So again, at the end of the day, no TVs, no phones in the bed. Do a breathing technique. Now, if you need like guided meditation, a phone is great for that. Just don't be staring at it. You can still listen to it.
Yeah.
But doing the breathing techniques at the end of the day helps calm the nervous system down, and then you fall asleep.
If you have a phone in the bedroom, I think I've heard before to make sure that you take it and it is far enough away that you have to get up. Maybe you use it as an alarm. You have to get up so there's movement right away instead of I'm just going to hit it off or I'm going to turn it off and then I'm going to fall back asleep or I'm getting cranky with it. So if it's far enough away from you, you can have it over there. If you're doing it as a guided meditation, have it away from you.
Right.
So it's not sitting here and then when you're done with this is what I see people do wrong. They get done with the meditation app, and if they haven't fallen asleep, they get they go right back to what caused the stress.
It's also like you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, oh, I need to go back to sleep. Grab your phone, and let me just scroll for a little bit. But then all of a sudden, it's a half hour, an hour later, and you're still wide awake staring at your phone.
This is an addiction.
It is.
So for those of you that go off on people for having an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction or whatever the addiction may be, don't cast stones when you have an addiction. And I will say that my husband used to say, Monica, cut the cord. And I was like, yep, you're right. So I have less and less and less tried to be on social media except for business.
For business.
Right?
Yeah.
Or to say something, oh, wow, because a lot of people are, how did you not see my post? And I'm like, I'm not on
I'm
it.
on there all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we want to go back to a simpler life when we didn't have these.
I think about that all the time. Like, why do we have this? But it's so convenient, and the world
And it's very beneficial in many ways if you
really
if you use it the right way.
If you use it the right way. I'm over the last several months, I've been actually trying to be very conscious of when I'm with someone, not having it on me, because it's such a distraction. It's taken away from that interpersonal relationship. Again, guys at a bar.
Yep.
We're watching a TV and we have a phone in our hand. We're not
watching another game.
We're not right. Which game we're watching? There's 3 going on. But
this is like your screen and screen.
Right. But it takes away from our lives. So be present.
I did a story back in my TV news days about young kids and what you are expecting. I don't know if we've talked about this. Maybe we haven't, but it's a good one to bring back up about what you're going to see moving forward with the younger generation. And I think what they call it, trigger thumb.
Yeah.
Something like that of them doing this with games, the way they're texting, and because it's that repetitive motion. These are the things I don't know that you're thinking about, as well as during school season, we always do the story about the backpacks and how heavy they are. All these things that are being done to these kids to literally and figuratively stunt their growth.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we talk about is called tech neck.
Yes. That. Right.
And that's taken away the cervical spine curve and going to start degenerating. And I see this in young kids all the time.
Yep.
It's kind of depressing when you see these kids
down,
shoulders hunched forward, big humps in their thoracic spine. And they're 10 years old.
Right.
You know, and
what's it going to happen? Well, yes. What's going to happen to them long term?
What's going to happen 15 years from now? They're going to have back pain.
What's the terminology? I don't know the medical jargon for this, of the forward head. Like I see a lot of elderly people, and there's nothing that they can do about it. And their head is down here, and their body's back here. What is that called?
There's something called I think it's dowager's hump.
Okay.
There's a medical condition with that.
Okay.
But
I'm afraid that we're going to cause that with what we're all doing here.
Yeah. Now, that's a medical condition that's caused by something else.
Okay.
But there is a postural anterior head carriage where our head's way ahead of our shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's going to put more pressure on the spine, and we're going to get that hump.
And so if you're talking about this being done, again, when he mentioned that you're coming in with an issue that happened 30, 40 years ago. If we do all of that and someone's not going to a chiropractor, which is why I'm stressing to you, go in, get the consultation, see what's happening, but bring the whole family.
Yeah.
Don't go in just for yourself going, oh, I wonder what I did to me. But why don't you take a look a little bit closer within your home and see what your kids are doing. If they're doing all these things that Sean's talking about, I would love for you to bring the kids in and say, holy cow, we're allowing this to happen now. We need to break this so that we don't have that postural issue 30 to 40 years down the line.
Right.
That's going to take so much longer.
It takes so much longer to get you out of that ditch. Which is why when you first came in with Jim, I wanted you guys both there at the same time. Like, here's an x-ray. Hey, Jim, this is what's going on in her neck. And Monica, here's what's going on with Jim. And now it all makes sense.
Well, and you can support and help each other.
It's support.
Right.
You took the word out of my mouth.
Support is massive, because if this starts to happen and you know that it's causing a problem with your neck issues, your spinal issues, your headaches, whatever, then your spouse, or maybe it's a child that can say, hey, Mom, you heard what doctors told you. Stop doing this.
Put the phone down.
Yes.
Yes.
And give your kids the ability to actually say that to you.
Yes.
Instead of saying, shh, you're a kid.
Take this technology, kid.
Yeah.
And
go away.
Go away. Yeah.
This has become a babysitter, which is a dangerous thing.
Babysitter, I know.
Right?
Sometimes it's fine. Hey, if you're going on a 10-hour road trip, and we hit.
That's different. Yeah.
We had the Game Boys. Like,
sure.
We were still, but it's such a crutch now, where what the kid wants and is like thriving for is attention.
Yes.
Exactly. And
this should be limited.
That should be limited.
And that's what I really applaud all of you parents that are out there that are saying, you can have this, you can have it for 30 minutes, and then you're going to give it back. And I don't want to hear anything because I'm giving you for 30 minutes.
Right.
It's no different than when we were growing up and it was like, okay, you can play outside for this amount of time period and then you're done with the kids.
Right.
But at least we were being active.
We were being active. Go outside.
Yeah.
When the lights come on, when the street lights come on, then you come back
home.
you
come back in.
That's it.
Simpler time, folks. Simpler time.
I know.
Okay, so again, we're trying to eliminate stress on so many levels of long-term problems. I don't think a lot of people understand the magnitude of what stress does.
Right.
Let me go into stress eating. Okay? We'll do that in the last part of the show. So we're going to take a break, but stress eating, which then leads to every other thing that we've already talked about, but they all just kind of, it starts this ball that starts tumbling down the hill, and then you see this massive thing that just envelops you and falls on you, and you're like, how do I get out of this ball? You got to break the cycle. All right? Stress eating and how bad that can be for you when we return.
Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com.
Welcome back. Again, The Real Monica Adams Show and Dr. Sean Neary with Mid-America Spine and Rehab. So we've been talking about the levels of stress and what it does, first of all, to the body, because that's what our minds think of. Most people say, I have stress headaches.
Yes.
Or they say, I carry stress in my shoulders. I say it whenever I go to him or I just went to the massage therapist. I was like, do you feel it? My stress is here. It's like literally we've labeled, this is my stress.
Right here.
The other part that happens is this, stress eating.
Yes.
Which just leads people to shame themselves.
And then all of a sudden you look in the mirror like, what happened? It's because, are we bored?
Right.
Are we stressed? And that's our release is, let's get the chips.
Or sugar. You either go for sodium or sugar, right?
It's sugar, usually. I'm more of the salt guy, but a lot of people just go for the carbs.
Right.
Because it's easy and you get that initial rush and it feels good. Like you feel good after a handful of chips. But then...
But do you really?
No.
You've masked.
Your body is masking
Thank you.
that it feels good.
It's no different than what we have talked about for months on end, which is the pills that mask the pain.
Right.
You are eating to mask the pain.
Yes.
You're going towards ice cream. You're going to the chips. Salty, sugar, people are either one or the other. Some people are both. Can we talk, though, because I wanted to lead into this from a chiropractic standpoint, when you're stress eating, well, obviously what it's doing, because you're not eating good, processed foods normally, what it's doing to the inside organs that you just talked about. Yep. But the more you put this on, can you talk about what that does to your back?
The more, let's just say, anterior we get.
Jim calls it a person, what, is it a zip code or area code? I think that he said that person has their own area code.
They have their own area code. I love that. But that's putting so much pressure on your low back. Now, for guys, we carry here. This is our main spot that we...
Why is that?
Genetics.
Just genetics.
So, and then females go more in the hips.
Yep.
So when we're talking about arthritis and spinal degeneration, men typically get, it's the L5S1, it's the very bottom segment. That's where men usually get the first sign of arthritis. Women is in the knees because there's more pressure lower.
In the hips.
And then men hold it up just a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But that's putting pressure on your low back. Then as we're leaning forward, putting stress up here, again, this is where I hold my stress, right? But it's not here, it's here.
Right.
You know, because our center of gravity becomes off.
Yep.
So then we have to adapt and we shift and change to get our center of gravity back onto a neutral plane. But then we get stress here and then we get the headaches.
Well, and I think it was Stephanie, I believe. So I was making a video to let all of our Facebook people know that we are on YouTube right now because Facebook blocked us for whatever reason. So we're hoping that a lot of you get a chance to watch this show today about stress, whether it's live or maybe this is the one that you come back to and say, hey, I've got these questions and this is what's happening to me. I remember that she had asked a question about low back pain, and I'm going to show activity to help strengthen the back. But one of the things I said immediately, do you remember this? This was about a month or so ago. Because she was asking questions to you saying, well, I got low back pain. And I said, well, how's your nutrition?
Yes.
And then she did say, well, yeah, I do probably need to lose weight, because all I hear from a trainer mentality is you've got low back pain, your posture's probably bad, you probably have possibly poor form in your activities that you're doing,
Right.
or you're trying to get into these activities right away while you carry that extra weight.
Yeah.
So my first thought is, let's get the food in order, right? The
Yes.
healthier food to try to get this down.
Right.
Do you have discussions with your patients that come
All
in?
the time.
Yeah.
And people say, I want to get in shape. I use the 80-20 rule. 80% of it is nutrition. 20%, yeah. The activity part, that's the easy part.
Right.
Yeah, we can go to the gym. Great. But it's what you're doing when you're not in the gym, just like as you said.
Yep.
If 2 training sessions a week, what are you doing with the rest of the time? It's 80% of it is nutrition.
Yep.
And having a healthy breakfast. The snacks, what are you snacking on?
Mm-hmm.
Is it an apple? Is it carrots? Or is it chips? That makes a huge difference, and that's just going to add right through here.
It's the grazing that you do. Well, it's usually, okay, now I'm going to take it out of the personal training and go to the life coaching. The life coaching side of me, a lot of times, every one of my life coaching clients, I will ask, do you have any idea how many calories you put into your mouth on a daily basis? Right. If not, we need to start tracking that. Mm-hmm. I will ask them to do a 7-day period for me, and then we come back and we look at that and we break it all down and we start, I mean, literally, it's why I brought this in here today. I will go, okay, let me highlight this for you.
Yeah.
Do you see this right here? This is where we're going wrong. Oh my gosh, and then what, it's an aha moment when they're like, I had no idea that I was eating all of this. And I said, because it is mindless eating.
It's mindless eating.
Stress, mindless eating.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of a food diary.
Yes.
In 7 days, 3 days, 10 days, whatever it is. But whenever you do it, be honest with yourself.
Yes.
Actually write down everything you're eating, because it's easy to cheat and say, oh, I didn't have those chips. I'm not going to write that down.
Right.
But be honest with yourself and see, what are you actually consuming throughout the day?
Yes.
Is it, and then what are you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Is it water?
Mm-hmm. Soda.
How many cups of coffee do you have?
Right.
And I'm guilty of that one. I love my coffee. But
how many cups do you have in a day, though?
If we're talking about cups, as in 8 ounces,
8 ounces.
Probably 3.
So 24 ounces in a day?
Roughly.
Do you have it before or after 12 o'clock?
Only before.
There you go.
Noon. Only before. Because I did an experiment with myself a couple of years ago, and I had coffee about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And you were up all night.
I was up all night.
Correct.
Yeah, I could not shut it off. So it's first thing in the morning, and then usually about 11, I'm done.
The problem I heard this morning, one of the news stations, as I was driving in, said that now that they actually said, parents, look at yourself. Are you giving your children coffee? Because they're drinking all these caffeinated drinks. It used to be soda. Then it's those energy drinks.
Monster, whatever they are.
So dangerous for your heart, by the way.
Terrible.
And then they're now asking for coffee, which I'm like, kids want coffee? Yuck.
Yeah, I never wanted coffee.
No. But it was always an adult drink, wasn't it? It was known as an adult drink.
Yeah.
But now they think it's fun because it's not really black coffee anymore. It's all these sugar. And then you're mad because your kids are bouncing off the wall. But
Right.
you did it.
Right.
You gave it to them.
The kids learn by example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're sitting there on your phone all day, they're going to want to do it.
Right.
If you're sitting there reading a book, they're going to copy that behavior.
Or you're active, right? So
Right.
I always say that I am in shape and love working out because all I ever watched was my mom working out. Still to this day at 86, still working out. Phenomenal role model.
Yep.
You have to look at that. Sean, you're absolutely right. We are creatures of watching our parents, watching our grandparents. If we feel like we don't connect with it, then we have an aversion towards it, and then maybe. But that's when you're getting a little bit older, right? So you're maybe out of grade school, you go into high school, you're going into college years, and you're like, I am actually going to separate myself. That doesn't connect with me.
No, it's as you get older,
Yes.
and you start to realize the good habits. Because
Right.
my mom was the same way, very active, softball, volleyball. And we went to all those games, and so we get to see these adults being active.
Sure.
And that's what, in my head, I go, oh, that's what you do. Just stay active.
And if you're active, and if your kids, because we just did this about 3 weeks ago, if your kids are involved in sports, please go back and watch the story that we did with Travis Snyder, former professional baseball player. Now he is the CEO of 3A Athletics, and he talked about the stress that is seen at a very early age of the way parents are pushing their kids to be in sports. Then they're yelling at the umps.
Right.
So what's happening? The kids are seeing all this. So you're creating stress for these poor little minds that are trying to grow. Their minds are trying to grow. Their bodies are trying to grow.
It's supposed to be fun.
It was supposed to be, right? That's what the kids say. This is supposed to be fun. It's not fun anymore.
But now I think, I don't want to say it was Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods' dad kind of said, this is what we're doing, and you're going to focus on it.
Yep.
And then you started to see baseball players starting at a very young age, and that's all they're focused on. And there's so much pressure and stress when it's supposed to be fun. Go outside, get the fresh air, just be active.
Right.
It's not professional sports when you're 10.
But the thing is, you're going to have the people against this saying, yes, but we've got to start it early because we want our kids to be that. But I just keep saying, but you hear yourself, you're saying, I. Do they want it?
Right.
It used to be blamed, and I said this before, it used to be blamed on women saying that they were the pageant moms. And I was like, yeah, but look at yourself, whether you're a father or you're a mother, you do it in the kids' sports and cheerleading and everything. Yeah. And that is a lot of stress. I always hate bringing negativity, but yesterday I was scanning through the news on, I think, KMOV, and I saw one story about a 30-something-year-old that took his life.
Yeah.
And then scroll down just 2 pages, and the next thing said a 10-year-old, Sean, that took his life.
10?
10 years
That is
old.
so
And I'm
sad.
like, it's getting younger and younger and
Yeah.
younger. Isn't that a wake-up call for our country to say, what in the heck are we doing wrong?
Yes. What is
Right?
wrong with our mental health?
I never heard growing up that a kid took his life or
No.
her life.
No.
I don't know when that started, and maybe it wasn't being reported. I don't know. I mean, those are all the things we'd have to look into. But if you don't think that this is all from stress and depression that starts younger and younger,
Yeah.
so this is why I'm a big proponent of this. Let's say that this is the family table. How long has it been since you've sat around that and had dinner together?
Right.
I used to end every one of my shows on KMOX to say, you want a better family life? Have dinner together. And then I would end the show that way.
Definitely.
Go back to having dinner together and sit there at dinner and actually put these away.
Right.
Don't let them play on them or let you play on them. Have dinner, say that those all have to go away, and then ask, how was Billy? How was Susie's day? And if they say, it was fine, go deeper.
Right.
Find out, because that is, unfortunately, when we hear about these stories about kids taking their lives, they say, I didn't see the warning signs. It's because you never asked.
Because you didn't ask.
You
weren't
didn't go
paying attention.
deeper to say, why did they have an okay day or a bad day?
Right.
Are they being bullied? Are they the bully?
That's the other one.
Yes.
Yeah. What is their outlet? Because growing up, every single night we had dinner as a family.
Right.
We sat around. There was no TV on. Luckily, we didn't have phones back then.
Yep.
But it was family time. And how was your day? And we're going to talk about it. Now, if there were certain days we didn't talk, it was maybe a quiet one, but it was still family time.
Yep.
We got to hang out with each other.
Well, pay attention to body language. That's another big thing. However, that has to mean that you have to actually pay attention.
Right.
Well, that's a big thing. You have to actually listen. Are you a good listener? Do you pay attention to the signs that they're giving you or that you're giving them through lack of eye contact, contact, body language, all of that? So to me, a lot of times, this is what tells the story of Sean. Sean said nothing at all, and he came in, and I'm like, you okay? Right. It's because I'm actually, as a human being, trying to be kind and be like, something's off the more you get to know somebody. Right. So stress. So this is the biggest topic that we can give you, and we could do this, by the way, probably every single week to talk about what it's doing to you. So from a structural standpoint, to bring it back home from a chiropractic standpoint, how long would it take for you to correct problems that have been created, maybe let's say over the last year, to then saying 3 years to 5 years to 10 years,
right?
And they all go back to stress.
And it all goes back to stress. But I would say if it's a year ago,
yes,
it's shorter time. If it's,
like what kind of time?
Let's say 4 weeks.
Okay,
4
there
or
you
5
go.
Weeks. Now, if it is 30 years of stress and damage that we've done to our body, that takes a lot longer. We're talking 3, 4, 5 months. Yeah, but that's why we want you to get in as soon as you start to notice anything being wrong, because the more we ignore it, the worse it's going to get, and especially with stress.
Right. And so when you come back and say, chiropractors just want me to, again, I want to do that on a future show, dispelling the myths of what people think a chiropractor does. I think they just do this so that I have to be strung along. And right, you hear it all the time.
All the time.
I have to come and come and come. It's because he just told you that you hadn't come in for 30 years.
Right. It took a long time to get here. It's going to take a while to get out. I wish I had the magic touch of like flipping the light switch. And
you only have to come in once?
One time? Oh,
You and I share
retired.
that in our professions, that you come to me and you want me to get 100 pounds off of you that you certainly didn't put on in 1 week. Right? This is years of pain that you created for yourself, years of depression. Right? So that's why personal training is not just a physical side, it is physical and mental, because it's why in the world did you not value yourself and see that everything that you're going to do to put all that weight on is doing things that we would share together. I would say, you got to go to Sean, because the reason you're having knee issues is all this weight you're carrying. I'm going to do my job starting to get it off of you. I'm going to start to have you be introduced to a dietitian. They're going to teach you proper ways of eating, but you got to get rid of the pain because otherwise you're not going to be able to do the activity.
Right. It takes, and I think people want to go to the high dive and jump into the deep end right away.
Sure they do.
It's like, no, you got to wait. You got to go into the shallow end, work your way into the deep end.
Yep.
It takes a while to get there. It's the ones who go into the deep end right away that we see the injuries and we see.
What's that weekend warrior mentality, isn't it?
Totally is. Yes.
People watching something on TV. I can do that. Right. I haven't ran in 30 years, but I'm going to go out and run a marathon. Mm-hmm. They had the KT 82 relay this past weekend. Yeah. So when we were on the Katy Trail, and this poor guy, you're a little apprehensive sometimes when some stranger comes up and asks to use your phone, which is what happened. This guy, Ryan, God love you, he came up and huffing and puffing, ladies, do you have a phone? And I'm like, hiding my phone. Right. Michelle actually was on hers, showing me this video. And I'm thinking, well, you can't say no because it's right there. And she's like, yes. And poor guy went and took a wrong turn and couldn't find the people he was running with. But I looked at all the different shapes and sizes of the people, and I thought, did you actually train for this? I hope. Right. Or are you going to come out of this and you're going to have all these issues and needing to go see Sean and needing to go to see myself because you suddenly decided, I think I can just jump in and run one of the legs of an 82 miler.
No, you can't.
No, you've got
we're
to
22
train.
Years old, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they come back and go, well, why did I hurt myself? Well, because you jumped off the couch and thought you could go run 10 miles.
You didn't train.
No. Training in every level is training the mind, training the spirit, training the body. And when you get to all of that, watch what happens to the life. So what are you feeling today when we have discussed the stress? Because we've mentioned a little about a handful of these. Mm-hmm. I know some of them that we haven't done in a while. How about I take this one off the table, because we've done fear and anxiety a lot. Depression, overeating, shame, anger.
Let's go with the depression.
Depression. Okay. Yeah. 100 Days to Freedom from Depression, our daily devotionals from Stephen Arterburn. That's how we'll wrap up when we return.
We need women to lift women up.
Let's do that.
Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey. You're close.
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
Welcome back. I just asked Sean if he picked this one because it matched my dress. 100 Days to Freedom from Depression. He also was very observant, which is a good friend, by the way. He said, I was going to say, I haven't seen you wear your glasses a lot. That seems to mean that maybe my concussion symptoms have gotten better. Because that's why I wear them a lot. And that has been the case. Surprise. It's day 21 of 100 Days to Freedom from Depression. Surprise is what this one's labeled. Why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, quote, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. This is actually from James 4, verses 14 through 15. Spontaneity in life can be exciting. It can be fun to explore and discover new things. We just talked about. Train, though, to do those new things, never knowing where we are going or what we will be doing. Other aspects of life tend to be planned. Appointments, phone calls can dictate what happens during the day, but sometimes life can take a turn that was not on the schedule. A failing grade, think of all of you that are in school, an illness, a job loss, an addition to the family, good things, bad things. In life, unexpected and sometimes unfortunate things will happen. They might not be caused by anything that we or anyone else said or did. We live in a fallen world and life happens. However, we do not have to let this interruption sideline us. We have a choice. Resist and fight the unexpected circumstance, or accept it and then persevere. To persevere, one of the first things we can do is stop, take a breath, pray so that we avoid reacting in an unbiblical way. We can take a moment to call on the God of the universe, remembering that he has not been blindsided. Then take a moment, step back, and look at the situation. What are the options? Should we ask someone that we trust to consider the situation and offer advice? Do we actually listen to the advice, though? During this time, we continue to seek the Lord and see if he is leading us in a direction. Lastly, we do not ignore the unexpected situation we find ourselves dealing with. Ignoring or denying the situation can make things worse. Being active in working toward a solution is a productive and a healthy response. So when life surprises, we can resist and possibly miss what God has for us, or accept the detour and face the new road with a sense of adventure with God. John Piper said, the strength of patience hangs on our capacity to believe that God is up to something good for us in all our delays and our detours. And Henry Nguyen said, each day holds a surprise, but only if we expect it can see, hear, or feel it when it comes to us. Let's not be afraid to receive each day's surprise, whether it comes to us as sorrow or as joy. It will open a new place in our hearts, a place where we can welcome new friends and celebrate more fully our shared humanity. If you would like further reflection, you can go to Psalm 31, verse 15, or Proverbs 16, verse 9. I mentioned at the very beginning, Bible study groups, women's groups, men's groups, couples groups, maybe a new way for you to bring a little more balance and calmness in your life. I don't see how this would cause stress. It looks like positive roads ahead. Today's prayer, Father, as I embrace this surprise, help me to stay focused on you. Help me to relinquish any plans or ideas that do not match yours. Amen to that. Ooh, I like the next one. It says, listening to his voice. We haven't done depression in a while. Trying to get you free again of fear, anxiety, depression, anger, shame, and overeating. Sean, thank you.
Thank you.
As always.
Great show.
So for people who have not been to Sean yet and you've been holding on for so many months now, years, and you think that you're going to get better and it just keeps getting worse, I don't know what you're waiting for. So let's put it up on the screen where you can find them. StayWellSTL.com. Again, make your appointment, 314-966-8989. They're located in the Rosalitas Plaza, Old De Pere Road, 1030?
1030.
Oh, I remembered it.
Good job.
1030 Old De Pere Road. And make your appointment. He will get you in. If he can't get you in that exact day, it's usually within a day or so, right?
Within a day or two.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
Usually that day.
Don't put it off any longer. And again, I mentioned, why don't you bring the whole family, kids and adults alike, so that you can correct these problems earlier on. Stress, not a good thing. It's never going to serve you, by the way. That's my big question. How's that serving you?
It's not
right?
serving you.
It's not serving you, and it won't. It never will. So we're going to try to chip away at correcting the stress that has caused the problem in your life. All right, everybody, go out and enjoy the day. Again, be weather aware. Take care of yourself, and remember to share the love of kindness. God bless you all.